Come on, Ian. Otherwise, do you really want to be the guy who watched the movie, but then we didn't talk about it, so therefore you watched it for no reason whatsoever?
Mark, I'd make the sacrifice.
I know you'd make the sacrifice. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Spoiler Room. Our last. Not only is it the last day, what some people consider the last day of summer, but the last day of our Skate or Die month. And how appropriate is it to end Skate or Die month with the 1986 film Rollerblade, where you will hear the phrase skate or die a few times throughout the course of the film.
Yay, verily.
Yay, verily. And tonight, I have a wonderful group of crew members to join me as we venture out once again into the not mentioned, but probably is considered the skate wasteland, whatever it's called, Wheelie Land.
Wheelie Land?
I don't know. Anyway, we're heading out into the wasteland once again with our rollerblades. And thank you venturing down the stairs, pulling up a chair and popping your favorite beverage with us. We talk movie spoilers. Yes, you heard dulcet tones from both my crew members, but first we'll introduce him again. He is back once again. He's starting to become a regular once again. You better be careful. The baby spice of the spoiler room himself, the one and only Mr. Scott Davis. Hello, Scott.
Thank you. This is what happens when you encourage me.
I know, right? Oh no! Scott's
no!
Here. Oh no!
Hey, you did a really good job. You think so? I'll be there next week. Ah, shit.
So happy to have you back as always, Scotty D. And
always a pleasure.
And my right-hand man who just keeps coming back for more, Mr. Ian Simmons. How you doing, Ian?
Well, when you said we're coming down to the last show, I thought you meant like you're just shutting down the podcast. I'm like, it makes sense that this would be the movie to bring down the spoiler room. I'm doing great.
I am glad you're doing great, even as you have your triage set up there. We appreciate it. You're looking good, sir. Sounding good. And getting in here just in time. He's got his beverage. He's sworn at his laptop a few times. It is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joe Randazzo. Hello, Joe.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
So happy you could sneak in here to talk.
Well, I was not going to have watched this movie and apparently watch a version of it that's 6 minutes longer than you guys had to suffer through and not be here.
Wow, we were just talking about that.
I have a story about that where I went on a little side quest.
Oh, do you know why mine was 6 minutes longer? I'd love to know.
That's what I'm wondering. I have my suspicions based on what I saw when I was younger, what I saw for this broadcast.
Hey now, yea, verily, thou sits here with thine own mind, and thee will venture out to give the synopsis of said film to enlighten those who thou verily have joined our podcast or something. Do you want to do the synopsis, Scott?
No.
I could try it.
Yeah, Mark, we all want you to pull the sword from this stone because I don't think it can be done.
Me to pull the sword from the stone. I have to remember it. Okay. No,
let's make sure you watch the movie. We were having some discussions about that too. Technically, as host, he could bullshit you. He doesn't, but he could. So just remember that and appreciate it, audience.
We're gonna first give the name here of this group that we are introduced to. They're apparently called the Bod Sisters, though I don't remember them ever being referred to that at any point in the film. But anyway, we open we have the Bod Sisters, who later we would run across I think a member of them in the Rollerblade 7. Anyway, yeah, these are sisters who go around the wasteland. They follow a religion and they turn their weapons into weapons of love. So we have them and their organization. We have a fascist, I think, I don't know, some kind of Mad Max reject group of gang members who are going around terrorizing folks as well. And so they're kind of at opposition with the nuns. And then in between that, we also have law enforcement officers who speak as if they had the Cliff's Notes of the Bible shoved up their ass, and that's what they use to talk. and then we have a freelance person who uses her tape deck to get data, and she gets hired by the bad guys to steal the ultimate power source from the nuns, because that's where they get their healing powers from. And while she's part of that, of course, she grows, friendly with the nuns and doesn't want to give up the energy, but the bad guys want the energy thing, and the cops are caught in the middle. And so it becomes this cross-thread, dramatic exploration into relationships that you have between your faith of the side of good and what is right, and giving into your inner demons. And some women have their tops ripped off. Yeah.
Wow, Mark, did you get that from like Wikipedia or something? Because
No,
it sounds
that
like
was-
you
that
actually
was-
paid attention.
That was from my brain. IMDb puts it more like Netflix used to do when you used to get discs in the mail. Yes, I'm old. In a futuristic society, rebels fighting against a fascist state are aided by a group of roller skating nuns called the Bod Sisters. There you go.
One of whom in the credits is listed as Michelle Bauer, by the way.
Yes.
That's Michelle Bauer, yeah.
Yeah, it is
Oh.
Michelle Bauer. I thought I recognized her. So, yeah. Oh, the groups, the bad guy group's name, I think, is actually called Skate or Die. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, you see it pop up a couple times.
you do. You
yeah.
do. So first we'll get to a couple folks here. Then we're gonna leave Scotty D for last, because he apparently has some interesting history with this film.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
With this film. No. So first, just
oh god, they're gonna put
As
me
the
on
only
spot.
person here who's seen it multiple times, you're gonna have to guide us through this.
Yeah. So Ian,
Yeah,
this
that-
was
yeah,
your
that-
first time.
Yeah.
I guess let's frame this as, so this is your first time. Credits roll. Was it better or worse than last week's movie?
Much worse.
What?
Really?
What? That's no worse. Really?
Here's the thing with
I'm
last
surprised.
week, with last week's episode, there was hardly any dialogue, considering, I mean, for the runtime. So I felt comfortable, as I mentioned, taking it off my laptop, putting it on my phone, and then just folding laundry. It really was in that Zen filmmaking nonsense kind of mode. Whereas this, there's so much more talking and quote unquote exposition and dialogue that I felt compelled to try and pay attention, but it's all nonsense and insanity. So then I felt like a chump at the end of it. Like,
Oh,
all
like
of
I
it
did
was-
last week.
yes, it's just talking. They might have well have been, reading out their grocery shopping list. And so I feel like, for as much crap as we gave, what's his face that helped out, that stepped in,
Scott Shaw.
Scott Shaw, yes.
Yeah, not
Keep wanting
involved
to
in
say-
this one.
I keep wanting to say Shane Van Dyke, but as much as Scott Shaw, we gave him crap last week for ruining the career of Donald G. Jackson. I feel like he may have helped rein in Mr. Jackson's instincts. But then again, I can't tell, because it was only a year after this when Hell Comes to Frogtown came out. So I'm like, how they don't even seem like they're in the same plane of existence as far as movies go. And Hell Comes to Frogtown is much better than the movie that would come out 5 years after that, which we talked about last week. So I'm all mixed up. It's a terrible movie. I can't even call it a film. The most fascinating thing to me was the font on the titles was like the same font from Thrasher magazine, which I never read, but I would see it on stands. I'm like, which came first? I don't know. And was Skate or Die, was that video game get that title from this movie? In which case, this movie kind of has a legacy, and that pisses me off. So I don't know.
I didn't think what came first. I was hoping it was just a saying, like in California or something.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Well, thank you, Internet. Skate or Die came out on Nintendo in 1987.
So, but I'm wondering
This was 86.
But I'm wondering if Skate or Die was like a saying amongst like skater culture, like out west, like, you know how like surfers had their own kind of like catchphrases and lingo and stuff like that when, you know, that the rest of the country didn't catch on to. I was wondering if like maybe it like started with them or something. I don't know. I naturally having to stay off anything with wheels on it, I wasn't able to, you know, pick up on the lingo myself.
Actually,
organically.
If you guys don't mind, I use the Google at my fingertips.
Is there a
and
reason?
apparently Skate or Die dates back to the 1950s.
There you go.
And
The
in
50s.
1950, 1 year after the birth of the world's first sized booted roller skate for outdoor use, the expression gets published for the time in a magazine.
Oh.
And then in 1958 issue, the Saturday Evening Post published an article on ice skating, and they mention a variation of it. And so, yeah.
I want to know the context of having the phrase "skate or die" coming up in an article about ice skating. I mean, this is decades before Tanya Harding and all that.
Well,
but
how thin was the ice?
Yeah. but it was a variation. It was like, you know, you don't have to roller skate or die, is what they said. But apparently the actual short of it, Skate or Die, appeared in print for the first time with the release of the video game with the same name. So,
well, there you go. So
the actual phrase Skate or Die, they're even ignoring this film as well. So
yeah, it's just something that they co-opted and bastardized from the 50s, kind of like how the next movie did with Elvis.
I mean, it's also the 80s, and when you look at nostalgia seems to run in 30-year.
50s nostalgia was huge between the Reagan years and Stand By Me. Yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
It was huge during that, and Peggy Sue got married. Yeah,
Peggy Sue got married.
Back to the Future.
There was a whole Back to the 50s.
Back to the Future. It was a whole thing. Yeah, it was a whole thing, especially in the middle of the 80s.
Early Saved by the Bell. That was 89, and the opening is all like malt shop nostalgia. And in the episode I watched today, Casper Van Dien was an extra in the background.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
nice.
Before Starship Troopers, there was Zach Morris. Sorry.
No, but Skater. So there you go. So Skate or Die was a variation of it from the 50s, but what it was coined as and during skateboarding came from basically, go figure, a Nintendo game ad when they did the short version of just Skate or Die. So hopefully I've got this correct. I'm sure Internet will let us know if we're wrong. But in any case, we'll go to Joe. Joe, when was this your first viewing of
this was I had seen, because I didn't know, through on Letterboxd, the series is listed as starting with Rollerblade Warriors Taken by Force, which I had seen before, but apparently that's the second movie in the series. This being the first, that being the second, then the one we watched last,
Rollerblade 7.
Being the third. And I watched that because it was Rory Calhoun, Kathleen Kinmont, and Elizabeth K. Tan. I was like, okay, it seems. And that actually has like a legitimate like attempt at telling a story, because it's people being kidnapped and a group going after to find them. It's really easy. Like you could actually like watch it. This was a mess. This was a goddamn mess. And also, speaking of, you know, the idea of Skate or Die, like what was the insurance like on this movie? Because you've got people on roller skates going up and down ladders, walking across scaffolds. I was like, somebody's gonna get killed. Luckily, nobody.
I don't think this
insurance.
I don't think this is any insurance. I think this is very much a drop them off at the emergency room and drive away quickly type of insurance.
Yeah, probably.
I think this is. I mean, I think that I mean, the movie looks like it was funded by plasma. So, I mean, there's no way there was insurance.
Funded by plasma. Oh my god, it's beautiful.
I don't know if you guys mentioned this before I got on, but Ian actually said something in our group chat last night that was so perfect that I said, "Holy shit! If there's ever any re-release of this movie, this needs to go on the box." Let me pull it up because I think it kind of summed everything up for me. Let me scroll up and find it real quick.
Sure.
I was quoting Ian. I just watched 2 naked chicks in a fight to the death on roller skates and was completely bored. Donald G. Jackson is a warlock.
Yep.
That sums this up.
It was the warlock part that got me. I like that.
Yeah, I love the warlock part. Yeah.
It takes a special kind of talent to have 2 hot naked women fighting to the death on roller skates, and it's actually boring.
Yeah, like I said, and I'm not kidding when I said I think the only other director I've ever seen accomplish that is Uwe Boll with Blood Rain 3, I think it was, or 4, I forget. Yeah, Blood Rain.
Oh, that's
3.
fun. Is that,
I didn't realize
that's the one. That's the one where where they obviously got the Russian hookers for the.
It was Blood Rain 3. It was the one he filmed the same time as he filmed Blubberella.
Yeah.
And there's this scene. There's this scene between 2 rather attractive ladies who are sans clothing, and I'm like, this is the most boring scene I've ever watched until now.
I didn't realize they made more than one Blood Rain movie.
Oh,
I saw
they
the
made
first
3.
one in the theater.
3.
Hilarious is the Western one, which was Blood Rain 2, I think it was. In Blood Rain 2, the actress they got to play Blood Rain was different, obvious reasons. The actress they got to play Blood Rain, her arms were shorter than her blades, and the sheaths. Okay, so the sheaths of the blades were on her back. So when she had to unsheath her swords, it was always off screen, because if you thought about it for even half a second, her arms were not long enough to get the swords out of the sheaths on her back.
Nice.
You know what I love about that anecdote, Mark? Is it still has nothing to do with the movie we're talking about tonight. Can we keep it that way, please?
Let's get
the fact that it has nothing to do with this movie.
We keep drifting from this epic Rollerblade. So, yeah, I mean, this thing, when it starts off, you're like looking at it going, okay, yeah, like the Rollerblade, the Rollerblade 7, whatever, it's shot on a shoestring budget type thing. But we get nuns who, this is one of the only hints that takes place in the same world, possibly, outside of the fact that people ride around on roller skates, though they do more so in this film than in the later films, is we get the nuns' outfits, and they're similar to the nun we saw from the Temple of Light in the Legends of, in the 7, Rollerblade 7, whereas the habit and everything, only in this one, it's like blue and like Superman colors, and it was black in the other movie.
Is it just me? And I don't know why. Like, for instance, okay, now these things, the habits, the habits come up, and they come up like on a stiff. The habit isn't just like a little, I don't know, what do they call those things? Whipples or whatever thingies?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't come off like the little, like you would see in The Sound of Music. It's like a thing
a pulp hat.
Yeah, where it looks like their head is enclosed in it and stuff. And of course they have that Teutonic cross all over it, which, very important to note, did not originate with Germany in the 40s, even though that's might be where people sense it from. It's been used since, it was used beforehand. However, given that and the design of the thing, and I'm sure it was not intentional if possible. Let's just say it. The nuns, they looked a bit clanny, didn't they, folks?
They looked
a bit clanny.
And they're the good guys.
They're the good guys, and they looked like Klansmen on roller skates.
Klanswomen on roller skates, sir.
Yes.
No,
I'm sorry, inclusive.
Man, it is a good thing Donald G. Jackson isn't alive because Klanswomen on Roller Skates would be out next year. Who are we kidding? It'd be on Tubi on Monday.
We don't know who's listening. We don't know if Scott Shaw's listening to this. It still might.
He would just cut footage of them from his other movies and just splice it all together.
Coming to Tubi next Monday, Klanswomen on Roller Skates.
Coming into my YouTube channel. Nobody else use it.
Copyright spoiler room and Scotty Davis. There you go. But no, I mean, and so we've got this group of nuns who, their temple is a number of sheets on a stage. And they
have the great image. I always liked this too since I first saw it, which I'll get to eventually.
Yeah,
but it's not real stained glass. It's meant to look like stained glass, but it's that cutout design that was so big in the 80s. That was gels and just like things, and it's made to look like stained glass, but it actually just looks like that like design that we all had on our Trapper Keepers.
Yeah,
and I always thought I know that's supposed to resemble stained glass, but it's not supposed to be stained glass, and I know it's cheap, and I can tell you exactly how they did it, even when I was like 15 years old, and I still thought it looked pretty funny. I still thought it looked cool.
You mentioned it, Scott. We didn't get to you. I apologize because we were talking about other movies.
I'm not.
Tell us your little story with this.
Well, I'm only going to tell you about my side quest. So, okay, so it was your first. Okay, so this was my fifth. Yep, I was looking at Ian's screen.
Douse some of this in your eye. It'll be more pleasant.
I felt the sympathy coming out. But like it was either my fifth or sixth. But and it's not like I first saw this when I was like 15 or so, and I bought I paid for it. I bought the tape in Suncoast Pictures. I used to go to like the little discount things, $14.99 and under.
Yeah. And
look for all like the cheap things because that's what I could afford because my job paid minimum wage and this was minimum wage in the 90s. And I remember I'm like, oh yeah, this looks like it's got roller skates, it's got scantily clad women, it's got like cheesy apocalypse stuff. This is all for me. It'll probably have some cheap thrills because I'm 15 years old and I'm very lonely and the internet hasn't happened yet. So yeah, we did it. We did untoward things, and sometimes we spent our $12.99 on a Video Treasures copy of the Rollerblade VHS, which I did buy and I did watch, and I remember it being shorter. And no, I'm serious. This is the side quest because I then went on and I looked and I checked it and I checked the copy I had because the copy I had, I just had it on my Plex. I think it might still be on Tubi. But I did get
it's not on Tubi anymore. They pulled it.
I got it from when it was on Tubi and they were running it, and I grabbed it so I could watch it offline, which you can do for some things where they don't really care about. And I grabbed it so I could watch it offline later because I knew I was going to need to probably see it for some show or something eventually. Because like I said, I saw it once and then maybe once more when I was bored, like to see what else I could see in it. And I remember writing notes for it like back in the 90s. Like I have 30-year-old notes for this somewhere.
He knew he'd be on a podcast 30 years later.
Because I remember reacting to it. I remember reacting to all the old English.
See, so you're a student of the Temple of Light. I see.
Yeah.
Where's your smiley face?
And the back of the back of the box said it was 88 minutes.
Uh-huh.
I even looked it up to double check. I looked up all this stuff through Google and stuff to check out images and everything. Yep, 88 minutes. That's what it
says on IMDb. Yeah,
and the IMDb says 88 minutes. If you check for the releases, it'll say 88 minutes, and then certain like video and DVD releases 97 minutes. And then you'll get to the copy that I had, which was the one from Tubi that said 1 hour and 40 minutes. And I'm like, is that like a... And I'd said this too because there's always,
what that is.
There's always a few minutes here and there for like a PAL speed up or whatever. You never know which regions this is going through. And I'm like, maybe something there, but certainly that's not like, I mean, that's longer than 128. Was it just wrong? And I watched the movie and I started noticing things. Now I remember I had seen this at least 4 times before.
Sure.
But I had, to put this mildly, I do not remember. And I think, considering that I bought this tape when I was 15, for maybe 60-70% of the reason to get to see some skin, I would have remembered the full frontal. I would have remembered. I think I would have remembered this. I don't think I would have taped over it. Eventually, I did tape over the rollerblade, the store-bought rollerblade thing. But it was. But I don't remember. Like, I remembered like bits. Like I remember them being in the waters, but I don't remember them getting out. You know, and I don't. And I remembered like the weird scene where the hand puppet, who I'm sure we're gonna get to, is like stripping aluminum foil off this poor woman. I remembered that scene, but it was like 10 seconds and like very non-graphic, whereas this one, it lasts for a few minutes.
Okay, that's odd because the version that I saw was a VHS rip off of, and it has the Video Treasures logo clear as day in the beginning, and mine was 93 minutes.
And yours was 93, maybe.
And the one on the internet archive was 97.
Yeah, that's
you poor.
How much? Okay, without not to put it too much, but how much Bush was there in this movie, Joe? Because there was a surprising amount for me.
I remember from last Michelle Bauer and the other woman. Completely full frontal. Michelle Bauer at that point, though, was that's really the only one I remember from the version I saw.
So the version on the
like I won't take scenes.
I won't take Ian's thunder. He probably has it written in notes somewhere. I won't take Ian's.
I am not that much of a pervert.
I wasn't saying perverse. I was saying because you're very thorough in your note taking. You'd have a little tally of, full frontal 5
If somebody had warned me that we needed a Joe Bob Briggs style Bush count, I guess I could have done it.
We're talking about beer, by the way, folks.
And shrubbery.
So it was 1 6-pack of Bush by my note taking.
There were like 3 or 4 scenes in this thing that I do not remember from the version I saw as a kid. I will say that I saw in this 1 hour and 40-minute version.
Scotty,
did it make the movie better? No.
Well, Scotty, the way you're describing this experience is kind of like my experience with the used copy of Basic Instinct that I had in the 90s. It wasn't until decades later that I was like, oh, there's like a whole murder mystery in this movie. It's not like 7 minutes of really disjointed scenes where the tape is strangely worn out.
You mean like, oh, that's what Body Double is about. Okay. Years later, hey, we're all kids during the 80s and 90s, and Cinemax at 11 p.m. was education for everyone. But on Saturday nights, but we mentioned this because this is what happens, especially with some of these older films. All these different cuts you end up getting over the course of releases, European cuts versus US cuts versus this version of VHS versus that version of VHS versus Laserdisc. I just has nothing to do with nudity, but I just recently watched the documentary Making Megaforce. And in Making Megaforce, they have clips from the movie Megaforce in it that look freaking gorgeous. So I asked the director, I'm like, where the hell did you get this footage? Are they, I'm like, did Arrow do a remaster or something? He's like, no, he pulled it from the Japanese laser disc and then he color corrected it. And it looked freaking awesome. I'm like, holy crap. But I've never seen that film in that quality before. And so, you know, especially with these older films, when you get to the different distribution companies taking over rights, they end up trimming stuff. And in this case, I suspect the copy that didn't have as much full frontal in that was probably a U.S. theatrical, or not theatrical, but a U.S. cut, maybe theatrical, versus a European cut, because there are about 5 scenes in here where there was a surprising amount of nudity compared to like last week's movie we watched, where there was basically one, you know, a couple brief topless
couple
scenes,
very brief shots, yeah.
which
And
a movie like that you would expect in the 80s have a reputation for gratuitous excessive nudity. So you're like, where is it? You know, and in this one it's like, oh, there it is. They must have used
and
it
this
all.
one had all I remembered was a couple brief shots from when I was a kid. And like I said, it's not, I mean, I could be wrong. All I'm saying is that given the age I was when I got this and what I was looking for,
yeah.
I feel like it would have been a seminal, no pun intended, part of my growing up experience.
And again, we're not talking about it just for this, but it is an interesting aspect of release of films, you know, that get cut based off of distribution or whatnot. Because one on the Internet Archive, there are about 5 scenes that were surprising to me, just how much complete nudity there was. There is a scene where they're healing someone and she has to be naked. I don't know why. There's a scene in the ritual where and we haven't even gotten to the movie. We're half hour in. We haven't even gotten to it.
And neither did Donald G. Jackson, by the way.
But we've got our merc for hire, Hunter, played by Sean Michelle. I think that's who it is. Hunter is her name. There's a scene where, you know, once she gets in good with the nuns and she goes through a number of tests for her loyalty, they do a ceremony where they wash away their old selves by getting into a hot tub with the other ladies, and they have to remove their robes or whatever. And so that's where you have a full nude folks on screen from start to finish of that scene, which goes on for a little bit long. Then later on, when they're about to actually become sisters, the ritual requires them to completely remove their robes again, where they're standing, all 3 of them, full what the Lord gave them.
Just starters.
You know, and they're in this ceremony, and there's that. And then there's
and they have them turn around.
And they have
like
them turn around.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and then you have the scene that Ian described,
casting process.
You know, you had
robe, turn around.
There are a lot of scenes that are totally necessary to the plot where you're going to have to take off all your clothes because of the rituals that this group has.
Yeah, you know,
it definitely helped.
And then there's of course the fight scene Ian mentioned, which apparently it involved everybody. The 2 ladies involved completely removing their entire clothing.
Well, and also, I think I got this line right, but it's like a bunch of the punks are surrounding these 2 girls who have to fight to the death. And I think the line was, F them hard and you will see they will scream 1, 2, 3. This movie has a very progressive attitude towards women that I greatly appreciate. No, I mean, it's just, that's like, it's so skeevy. There's a scene later on talking about the full frontal nudity. There's a scene where, and I can't remember the context, maybe one of you guys can either remind me or help me to care, but there's a lady who is blonde and she's completely wrapped in tinfoil, and the tinfoil is gradually removed by the flesh puppet of the giant bad guy from Mad Max, Sadakoi.
Yeah, Sadakoi.
Sadakoi. So this girl, she's completely stripped naked of the tinfoil, and the puppet begins like Reanimator style, like licking her and like going down and suckling on her naked breast. And then like it's gross and it's off-putting. What's even worse is that when the puppet goes back to talk or do some other business, the blonde lady pulls it back to her and has it like start suckling on her again, and she goes, "Ooh!" I'm like, who is this for? Honestly,
Yeah, it was really rough, and
It is
honestly,
so skeezy. It was
Very
so
sleazy.
skeezy. I'm just like,
that was the scene where I turned to Sean, my roommate, because he's watching it with me, and I'm like, "Look, Mom, Dad, I'm in a movie." No, don't go see it. I'm in a movie though.
well,
Put the foil
what's
back
hilarious is our main villain, Sadakoi, the one who sends Hunter out to get the ultimate energy source from our nuns who use it to turn their weapons into healing devices. The first time we're introduced to him, we just see this little face puppet, and I thought it was like, okay, some mutant person who is haunting one of the sisters' dreams, by the way, as a demon, but he's talking to Hunter over this little communication device, and that's where he gives her the mission when she came back from fighting spikers, who are basically guys with mohawks. She fought them off with the data she received, which was her tape deck, and she wants batteries for it. So
for the
Walkman. Stay with me here, folks. Stay with me. Anyway, so when we first see it, though, we just see the little head for a while. We just see the head talking. I'm like, oh, okay, low budget. That's supposed to be like a mutant leader. Nay. Later on, when we see the bad guy soldiers come back, we see our full shot of our bad guy, and we see that a la dummy, a la Scarface, the little puppet head creature is on his hand, and they've got it dressed as such, like this is part of him, but this is its own being, and it talks. It looks like a Mad Balls that they just cut in half and put a hand on.
It's Mutant Mr. Hat.
Mutant Mr. Hat.
You know what? It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember Fred Olen Ray's involved in this movie somehow because his son is in it.
I have a story about that too.
There's a similar dummy in the Fred Olen Ray 1986 or 87 movie Star Slammer.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this might be the same dummy used in both movies.
It could be.
I got to break out my Blu-ray. I haven't watched it.
I have that one on Blu-ray too. I actually like that one. Bad as it is, I actually like that one. And actually, there was a scene in the end where they rescue Chris Olen Ray, who's the character's name is Chris, so that works perfectly. But Chris Olen Ray is rescued, and they're like, "We got to go find your father." I'm like, "Oh, please don't pull poor old Fred into this, because as bad as some of these movies might be, and say what you will about Fred Olen Ray's movies, I don't think I've ever seen any Fred Olen Ray movie that was as bad as either of these last two movies that we saw.
Not at all. No, Fred makes his stuff definitely is far more competently made.
There are acts. There's progression. Yeah, no.
But no.
It might not be good.
But what's funny about this scene the reason I set this up is because this is our bad guy, and apparently you get the impression it's kind of like a Master Blaster type of thing, to where the little hand thing is supposed to be doing the talking, and the big brute guy who's attached to the Mad Ball hand doesn't talk. Apparently, it seems like no, he does talk though. Never mind, he does talk too. So because he's giving the commands in his really low, gutturally evil guy voice to go get the energy, because they're going to go after this one company that where all the weapons are. Apparently that's part of the motivation, and with this energy he can power up the weapons at the factory and become I think that's what he said. I don't know. In any case, where I'm going with this is, you mentioned the tinfoil covered lady who they bring in on a hook, hanging on this big factory hook for no apparent reason. You have no idea what's going on. They just bring this hook and there's this tinfoil stuff. And then we start seeing the tinfoil remove, and you're like, oh, there's a naked woman under there. Okay. So the actor, though, since the Mad Ball is on his hand, he has to have the scene where he's talking into the microphone to his soldiers or whatnot, talking about they need to get the energy. But the hand creature is supposed to be doing his own thing by stripping the tinfoil off. So they cut away as best they could, but there's a couple scenes to where you can see the actor has his hand turned backwards and he's not even looking. He's talking into the microphone and giving orders, but then they're cutting to the hand which is supposed to be peeling off the tinfoil, and you can tell it's not exactly accurate either. It's just like he's looking backward.
Well, let's be clear. We hear him talking into
That's
the
true.
microphone.
Okay,
but
yes.
all of the sound and the dialogue is all ADR. It was filmed without sound and dubbed in later, and dubbed very tongue in cheek with very overemphasized racial stereotypes and stuff, as if to recall a foreign movie, but really it just comes off as really insensitive at times.
Oh, they had the one Jamaican guy that he makes Mario Van Peebles in Jaws: The Revenge sound like Sir Laurence Olivier. She's locked up tight, man, real tight.
They just got a guy. I think they just got. I don't think it's the same actor. I just think they got some other random white dude to go in there and just say "mon" every a minute or something. We're in big trouble.
Mon. Yeah, well, and then you get, we get our hunter who's working with the nuns to try to get close enough to the energy source, and they do these training montage things. And at one point, the hunters, again, where we mentioned about the insurance, they're in roller skates going down concrete steps at one point, trying to walk down concrete steps on roller skates. And Hunter stumbles at one point, and the person who's teaching her, Sharon Cross, I think, Sister Sharon Cross. Anyway, she grabs her, and she's like, "The longer thou skateth, the less thou will falleth." And I'm like, what? What the hell?
'Tis like getting backeth up on a bicycleth again.
But
incidentally, everybody's on skateboards or roller skates because you have to be on wheels to survive. Why isn't anybody on bicycles?
Well, those got taken out in the war or something.
Yeah, that was.
I understand if there's nothing motorized, but bicycles, scooters.
Do you not remember the great Huffy Schwinn conflict of 2020?
Yes, when they were all gone with the Schwinn.
Oh no!
Sorry,
Scotty,
yes, I stole a Kermit joke. I admit it.
No, Scotty, you made me think of another possibility: a post-apocalyptic movie called Scooter Die.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So we've got our sisters. We've got our villains who've got a pervy hand and want this energy to take over this building. Hunter, as you imagine, is the one who suddenly has a change of heart because she's been hanging out with the nuns and they've been doing their ritual quite often, apparently. Anyway, the two people we haven't mentioned are the sheriff and his deputy. Because he has a son. Because here, our main bad guy, we missed talking about the kid who is, I think, Fred Olenwary is Chris. Chris Olenwary, right?
Mm-hmm.
His son ends up getting kidnapped by the main bad guy to keep the sheriff from stopping him, I guess. And the sheriff talks about...
He's a marshal. He's a marshal.
Sorry, not a sheriff, a marshal. He's the one that talks like a lost Bible character. And he's got a deputy. And so he decides to go after the bad guy to try to retrieve his kid. And the kid's storyline for me made very little sense, but they've got him wrapped up in plastic. At one point, he's hanging from a grocery cart in the plastic, which falls a couple times. And the sheriff, this is the marshal. This is a character who does not belong in this movie. He doesn't do much of anything, and I wasn't even feeling it with the kid angle. I'm like, what the hell?
I always really felt like they put him in because they felt, we need to have a male hero of some type. For all the boys who are going to be watching this to relate to or something like that. That's the only thing I could always think of when I was a teenager, because I remember thinking even back then, like, that this guy doesn't do anything, and if anything, he's kind of a hindrance.
Yeah.
Well, he's a hindrance to what the movie is really about, which 15-year-old you can attest to, Scotty. We've already talked about this.
The internet didn't exist yet again.
No judgment. We've all been there. We've all been there. As I hold up my hands. No. Here's the thing. Like, he really is like the Raymond Burr in the American version of Godzilla. Like, just kind of like pasted into this movie for some reason. The one time he doesn't have like a Shakespearean line is where he says, "This is Marshall Goodman." Yes, his name is Marshall Goodman.
Marshall Goodman. Yeah.
"I'm at the acid rink. Something's weird here."
Yeah, and I want to point this out. But incidentally, they're still doing that trick. The new War of the Worlds movie, to let you know that one of the characters is a good man, they name him Goodman.
Goodman, yes.
God, that's a horror. Now that's a terrible movie. I'm not going to get on it, but that's the kind of thing that I hate, because that movie was just lazy and cynical, and I hated it. Anyway,
and they spent $67 million on it.
That is money laundering. I want to know. I want to see that itemized sheet to know where all that money went.
That's $29 million more than weapons cost to make. Wow.
And it takes place in a chair.
Most of it takes place in the chair.
Well,
but anyway,
I made that comparison too last night, because he's like, again, with my roommate, I'm like, you know what, this is better than the new War of the Worlds, because at least this isn't all set in one room.
And it's not, and you know what? As even if you say, "Oh, that was shameless," or "That was even the stuff that comes off as offensive," you're like, at least they were trying to have some fun. At least they were trying to do this. And where that movie was just a cynical, give them something to put on the screen, whatever. And it was just make sure to put as many of our products in as possible. Phone everything. It was just insulting. Anyway,
let's just go piss on the grave of H.G. Wells.
But it's a good. No,
I'm off point because I could do a whole rant on War of the Worlds. I really could.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mark.
Talk about that instead.
It is a point though of what you see here with a low budget film and what you got from a higher budget film more recently. I mean,
well, and I do want to point out the one scene, because otherwise I will forget it, and which is the Christopher Ray. The last time I had seen this movie, I announced it on Facebook that I was going back to see it again, and it's like, and I can't remember where I was watching it. Maybe it was for a podcast, it was for something. There was a reason I was watching it for sure, so I probably was for something like a publication or a podcast or something, and I put up the poster just like I did, before, and I said, like, "Yep, when I'm about to watch this one again," and I get this comment on my thing, begging me in very good humor, but begging me, "Don't do it." That was sent to me by Christopher Ray. Christopher, I love it because we were Facebook friends at the time, and Christopher and Ray, who, as you all know, this was not his first film. He had been in. No. I believe he was I think his debut was as the monster in Biohazard.
Yeah,
he did play the monster in Biohazard, which is just a great memory for any kid to have, I think. And he's since graduated into becoming a filmmaker in his own right and everything. And I remember, like, when I last did it, just saying I was going to watch this movie again, and Chris Olin Ray saying, "Don't do it."
I think he deactivated his Facebook because we met. We were both presenters at a film festival in San Diego in like 2013, 2014. And we became kind of friendly, but then we never really talked on Facebook. And I think his Facebook's gone. I think he probably just took it down.
Yeah.
I know. I'd never assume anything too personal if I'm not Facebook friends with somebody. I always assume, like, I get it. Like, it can be a bit much. Oh, I like this movie. My brain hurts. Fascists are bad. I get it. You might want to be my friend forever.
You might want to block him, but this movie. Yeah, so we've got the Marshall story with his kid, which you could take out because it doesn't add really anything except getting Marshall Goodman, who is a good man because he knows the Bible well, into the fray, so to speak. Because our girl Hunter, when she learns that there's a kid out there that was kidnapped, she goes and rescues the kid. I mean, it's like, and then it takes a twist though, because it does take a twist. It's a surprising twist. So Hunter grabs and steals the jewel. She's about to turn it into the bad guys, but now she's feeling guilt. She has a battle with one of her fellow nuns, and they make up just in time to fight the Santa Cois guys. They get their hands on the gem. He's like, yes, I have the ultimate power. He straps it into his crotch rocket. It's not really a crotch rocket, but it's like this little sled, because our brilliant villain built this sled, and the whole purpose of getting the gem was to power the sled enough so he could jump the chasm to where apparently this factory that he wants to get at that has ultimate weapons. Oh my God. Every time I talk about it, the storyline changes because the plot keeps moving. So yeah, he gets the gem, and this gem is like this little glowing purple thing. And he gets it at the end though, which surprised me. I'm like, holy crap, they gave it to him. He's going to get away with this. What are you doing? Of course he doesn't, but I totally blanked on what takes him out. Something malfunctions. I don't know if it's the power of light or what, but
I just saw this movie yesterday. I'm already blanking on most of it, so that's
what you described to me, Mark. I'm taking your word for it because I don't even know if I saw that when I was watching the movie yesterday.
No, that's there. It didn't say Acme. It said something like Epic Company or something. It wasn't Acme, but it should have said Acme because that would have been beautiful. It
would have at least been a reference to something that we can chuckle at. If it,
I mean, that's the thing is that it's another not random scene, but there's scenes that they're very loosely connected. You could tell what they were trying for with this Hunter character, this kind of hero arc of, they started as the bad guy, stealing stuff for the bad guy. They hooked up with literally and figuratively with the nuns. And now they've had a change of heart in not wanting to actually accomplish their mission, but, bad guy may still accomplish their mission. So they have to try to stop him.
Well, there's lots
of trying for that, but it's so done so haphazardly, so clumsily.
Well, yeah, there's all these details that they put in the story, right? And they'll put stuff like that building's name and everything like that. But and I think there'll be like, oh, that's a cute, weird little detail to put in there. But if you look at it, there's not really any purpose to it. Like one of the greatest examples is that, and that that we referenced a little bit, is that here you really get into the Order of the Nuns who worship a smiley face.
Yes.
Like the Have a Nice Day, which became like the big thing. Right before they were emojis, it was just the Have a Nice Day yellow smiley face. It came out in like the 70s or something. And they worship that. And that's really cute and clever and stuff. Okay, but what does that mean? Does that mean that it's just some commercial surface level smiley of bland positivity that we don't really go into? Does there anything behind it? Or there's nothing beyond the fact that look, smileys. And that's the thing, is that because even just the look smileys, it's great. I love telling people, it's like these nuns who wield butterfly knives and worship the Have a Nice Day smiley face. People want to see that. They're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, none of those things have anything to do with each other. It's just three random details that happen to apply to the same people in this movie.
And that's why I think this is worse than the next movie, the one we talked about last week, is because there is all this stuff in here, but it is just stuff. They don't actually do anything with it.
I don't think they did anything with it in the Rollerblade 7.
No, but there was less stuff. It was all about like the skating, so you could turn away for 20 minutes and come back and be like, I just missed people skating around.
I think I get what Ian's saying, because it goes along with what we were talking about last week with the Zen filmmaking. that was more just let's just roll with it and see what happens. There wasn't an actual like supposed plan for everything. It would just kind of, well, let's just go with this and let's just,
Right.
Whereas this one, you can tell, like I mentioned, that's where I was going with that, with like the Hunter character or even the Marshall character or even the nun, nuns and their purpose of changing weapons from killing weapons to being healing devices. There's a concerted effort to actually say stuff and do stuff in here, whereas in the last film from last week there was, but it was definitely more loose and just, hey man, let's just go with it. And in here, I think what Ian's saying too is that it kind of makes it worse because here they were actually trying.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: is that I think that definitely this, like for instance, we were all like kind of, I think a lot of us were feeling the sting from the Rollerblade 7 because it's a rough. I mean, whatever your opinion is of it, it's a rough go through. It's not an easy watch by any means. Right. And I think we were all kind of dreading it. And so, like, we were all thinking, I think, Joe, you were the ones that was saying, like, oh, God, well, this week's movie can't be any worse than last week's. And I, very seriously, and so this is why, and Ian, I completely get where you're coming from. I totally get where you're coming from, so I'm not saying that. But, like, I said, well, this movie seems like John Ford compared to last week because the Zen filmmaking didn't allow you to really have like character moments go full circle. True. It didn't allow you to like if you introduce, like, say, like if you can't introduce like Chekhov's whatever, because you can't introduce Chekhov's gun because you have to use that gun later, and there's no plan. And because there was no plan, it all came out as random last week, and now it comes off as a little bit more planned, but it's still you look at it and say, they really needed to think this through a little bit more just to get the rough edge, even if it wasn't to be a serious thing, just to get the rough edges out so that it made some sense and it actually was a little more effective. Yeah, but but let me tell you why these nuns do that. And let me tell you what these nuns do with this. And let me tell you what this Sadakoi guy is. Yeah, if you just spent like 5 extra minutes to think this through and put that in like in the margins of your script somehow to introduce in there, it might have really worked better. And that's why I think it definitely flows better than Rollerblade 7. But I think that there still needs to be a lot more planning done.
I brought up Planes, Trains, and Automobiles last week, and I'm going to do it again here, but with a different quote, again by Steve Martin. When he's talking to John Candy, he's kind of chiding him for his long, boring stories. He said, if you're going to tell these stories, have a point. It makes it so much more engaging for the listener. And that's the whole thing. Like, I feel like they kept inserting these like random, naked women wrestling and fighting and turning around and disrobing in tinfoil as a way of padding out because there's nothing here. The only thing that could have salvaged this movie, I think, is if Frank Stallone had been the guy with the puppet on his hand, because he's essentially playing the same character as he had in the Rollerblade 7, and he was awful in that movie, but at least it would have been like, but it's Frank Stallone, yeah.
And the puppet's voiced by Sly.
Yeah. We've already made this movie 100 times more interesting.
Better yet, the puppet sounds like Burgess Meredith.
Here's what I also think. Get
up, Rollerblade, Mickey loves ya. Yes.
And see, somebody doing a bad Mickey impression would and it being Frank Stallone behind the puppet would have been great.
Hunter, we got another mission for you there, Hunter. Yeah.
What I generally find though is these guys do not like playing off the characters of their more famous family members. Just speaking from experience and dealing with some of them. So
I can understand that. You want to be your own person.
And here's the thing: is when I watched Rollerblade, I didn't feel quite like Ian and Joe about it. It was not really well done either, but the thing is, there's they're doing too much in this movie is what it is, because not only do we have the sisters and all those characters, we have our hunter character, we have our villain with the puppet, mad, the mad balls on his hand. We've got the marshal, but we also have this character that seems to run through events like this stoner bum guy with a grocery cart who seems to pop up occasionally. And they cross paths with, supposedly he's titled as one of the 3 wise men, which makes me believe, I'm like, oh my God, are we going for some, because there's a lot of religion, like you said, a lot of religious stuff. People are trying to talk like they're in the Bible, like scripture. There's religions in here, and then but we get this stoner guy who also. So you've got, in a small budget film that is either 89 minutes or 97 minutes, however you want to watch it, with more nudity or whatnot, you've got this film and you've got at least a dozen characters that all seem to have some kind of purpose, and you don't have a whole lot of runtime.
Purpose?
Well, not purpose, but I mean, we spend time with them, like the group of nuns. One of them befriends Hunter, and there's that relationship there that we see briefly. You've got Santa Coy. What's the relationship with the nuns? Why are rivalries so bad? You got the marshal in there going, what the hell are you even doing there, dude? And you got stoner guy in there, and you know what I mean? It's just, it's like just throwing stuff into the pot. Like, I just went through my refrigerator and I grabbed all my leftovers, and I'm just going to throw them into a crock pot and see what bubbles up, is what it feels like with this film.
Half those leftovers are rotten. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I think there is a fun, cheeky B sci-fi post-apocalyptic film in here. I think there is one in here.
It's cheeky, all right, but not in the way that you're thinking.
But I honestly think this was. It really seems to me Donald G. Jackson just had a fetish for watching women's butts while they were skating.
While they were skating, it was a skating fetish. It almost feels like, yeah.
Which I can understand and sympathize with. I don't know if I would make a whole movie about it. I mean,
who doesn't want to see Michelle Bauer naked? God knows when I was, in the early 90s, I wanted to see her naked in everything she's in. It's, oh my God, these movies.
These are. It should be noted though. It's not like these. They're all. It is also the post-apocalyptic future. So everybody's like dirty and smudged and bruised. And like so, and it's as much as we've talked about the nudity, and it's not as much as say like you would get in like say like one of the Skinamax movies or anything like that. It was just surprising to me because my old copy didn't have them this much. But I mean, it's not sexy at all. It is something I want to really point out. It wasn't sexy when I was 15. Whatever little bits I could see that, and it's a little bit more sexy now, but not with the added stuff. But honestly, not by much.
It's not. That's the thing is, none of these scenes where we've mentioned, you've got all the gratuitous stuff in here. None of the scenes though are done in such a way to where they seem to serve any type of real like emote something from your audience. They're just, it's just there. It's just. And it's a wild choice to choose because, usually, especially with the older films like this, you figure there's the sexualization as always. The check mark for B films is gratuitous nudity, but it's usually in there for some kind of titillation or something, intimate, some kind of feeling. And in here, the way they're directed, and in here, it's not at all. These people are just like, oh yeah, the ritual. Okay, whoop. Okay, spin around 3 times, do the hokey pokey. Okay, you're good. You're like, why do you even have them take? You know what I mean? There's no reason. It's the prime example of gratuitous nudity. It's literally just having people naked to be naked. There's nothing in the movie that calls for them to be be that or wrapped in tinfoil and you know, I mean, it's just
Except that it'll sell overseas.
except it'll sell overseas.
That's it.
Exactly. It's in here specifically for distributors.
There are countries that don't allow porn.
Mhm.
This is as close as they're going to get.
Mhm.
So that may be very well why this extended cut that we were able to find has the extra long nude scenes in it, so they could sell this film overseas, because the scenes do absolutely nothing for anything. I mean, there's no reason at all.
Again,
for
that's
it.
that's what I'm coming up with. If I'm wrong, someone feel free to correct me. I mean, Lord
Mr.
knows,
Shaw,
Lord knows my
comment below.
yeah, Lord knows my brain is covered up other things from my memory, but like I mean, just given the time, I'm like no, I would have remembered if I remember distinctly me being confused. I really didn't like this movie in the early when I was a teenager. And I actually have grown to like it because it's come into my life so many times since then.
But you watched it 4 more times.
I've watched it 4 more times, and if you look at when I said I was going to watch it this time, my friend Jordan says, "Oh my god, dude!" And that's how I'm going to have to see it a 6th, because that's my friend. He comes over and I show him cheesy movies that he's never heard of, and so I'm going to have to see this a 6th time probably, because
and the thing is,
I just keep on. I don't go looking for it. It just this movie just keeps it's like Godfather. Look, the Godfather 3. You know it. I know the scene. I'm not going to repeat the scene. Yes. The one with the cousin. No.
The biggest and the thing with this movie when I'm watching it is I could not figure out. I'm like, because they try to throw humor in here along with all the other elements. You've got the roller skating violence, you've got the fights, you've got, some special effects in here. You've got this story, this world that it's taking place in and everything. But then there's these moments of humor, like with the stoner guy with the grocery cart. But then there's more serious moments, like the guys who are making the 2 women fight is actually, I think, in the hands of like a better director, this could actually be a very disturbing scene rather than it feels more like just people running through. It has the potential of getting that effect from the audience going, holy shit, this is disturbing. But now it just comes off as like almost like some sorority hazing, in a way. But it's one of those things where I couldn't tell. Are you trying to be a parody of the post-apocalyptic films, or are you trying to actually be something? Because it feels like they didn't know which way they wanted to go with this. So you get this mashup of ideas and tone and things. And if done right, mixture of tone can work. In this, it doesn't, because you never know what the exact purpose of this film is to begin with. Really.
This is not satire. This is the kind of movie that someone would make a satire of. Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's trying to be satirical. I don't think it's necessarily trying to be funny. I think it's just trying to be quirky, and I think it's just trying. I think that it says no. We were just aiming for quirky, and that's and. Honestly, I think that it's up to the individual to decide if quirky is enough for a film to aim for. We'll just say that. If you think that's enough, then yeah, give it a shot. If not, then no, because that's all this really goes for. I'd say.
Well, the one thing I think this movie does is it serves as an example, like a challenge from the universe to anybody who's actually thought about making a movie. Like the fact that this movie exists, there is no reason for someone who's ever thought about like, oh, I want to do my own thing to not do it. Like if this thing exists, then it is almost your patriotic cinematic duty to make something better than this, because it's almost impossible that it could be worse.
Or remake this. There you go.
No, Mark, what are you doing?
I bet you it's public domain. No, anyway.
Oh no, I'll bet not.
No, they probably own the right. I'm sure.
I feel like you've just conjured a demon of some
kind. I may have
Mark.
conjured an internet demon. That's okay.
I mean, I would be. I mean, I think
Rollerblade.
I think we are full. I think if you look on Tubi and you look in film, there are several filmmakers who I will not name, because some of them are quite good and some of them I would say personally are quite bad. And they just say, whatever we have at our disposal, we're going to make it, and we're just going to keep making the movies. And they keep making a lot of movies. And some of these people have followings. I think some of these filmmakers are some of the worst filmmakers around. And there's a few that are actually really good. But I think that you are getting that these days. And so, yeah, going for that. I just wish people would go more in terms of what exploitation films used to be. Not just saying, oh, we have a camera and we've got this rock, we can make a film all about this rock. No, you take what little you have and you try to pump as much entertainment value from it as you can, whether that means action, jokes, whether it means it. Sometimes it means sexuality. Sometimes it means violence. Sometimes it means all the things that got people into that, second bill exploitation feel. There is absolutely every part for that in cinema as much as anything else. And I don't think indie cinema is suffering, but I think that to get the people that we just don't see the audacity from as many people as we did as the materials have become more available. And I would like to see more of that audacity, because I think that we could really rediscover a lot of what made these movies great in the first place if people really tapped into that more.
Well said, Scotty. Joe, what's your final thought we'll wrap it up here, because that's a great way to kind of
segue into our thoughts. I didn't hate this one as much as I hated Rollerblade 7. But man, this one was laborious. It was a chore. The thing is, I mean, to kind of go off what Scott, I think people forgot like what the idea of a B movie is. Was it was going to, the B movie means that it was the B feature, the second feature on a double bill. And a lot of the times these movies were made just because, speaking in the old days, you're going to the drive-in with your date. By this point, you're probably just making out, not paying a lot of attention to these movies. But for those who were, there was still some entertainment value. Somehow B movies just became whatever the hell we want to do with a low budget. And it does feel like something was kind of lost in that, because, like Scott said, there was an audacity to the second feature, because it was the more unexplored idea. I mean, I guess this was an unexplored idea, but I don't see what we're kind of mining from this.
Mad Max, but on roller skates.
I didn't say this was a great example, but I just said I would like to see more.
I'm not going to put words in your mouth and say you said this was a great deal. Yeah, it is. Lately, there's been a lot of stuff where, like, I would find these movies at Dollar Tree, and one of them was one called Voodoo Apocalypse, where I watched it. And it was like, oh, it's a parody of 70s cop movies. I'm like, yeah, if you've never seen one, it's just somebody who's seen like a bunch of memes, like little clips, from movies from the 70s that were turned into memes, and then he said, oh, hey, based on these memes, I can make this parody of 70s cop movies. And that's what this felt like. It felt like somebody who watched Mad Max and didn't get it, but thought he could do
it. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
that's easy. It's like when you hear in the 80s and 90s, when you hear the old guy in the neighborhood talk about, oh, rap isn't music, I could do it. That's what this is. That's the equivalent of
Oh
what
my
this
God.
is.
You just, pardon my little segue, you just gave me a memory from my late grandfather, Chester, bless him. We had that exact conversation. I was listening to my Beastie Boys License to Ill tape on my little tape deck, and I had my earphones on, and we were in a debate about rap music. And he's like, and now that I'm thinking about it, would probably be a remix today. He sat there, he goes, play me something. And so I played one of the tracks, and he started singing Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree with Anyone Else But Me lyrics to the rap song. Now, back then, I just thought it was funny, but just talking to you right now and reliving this memory, I'm like, oh my God, now I want someone to do one of those mashups of There I Ruined It and do Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree with a rap.
With a rap song.
Because my grandfather was sitting there trying to rap, trying to say the lyrics to Don't Sit to a Beastie Boys beat. And I'm just like, he goes, see, that's not music. And I'm like, but
that does, yeah, it doesn't quite work quite, but still, I like that. I like that.
Sang a song,
a sweet
though.
story. It's a sweet story, though. Grandpa Chester, he invented the remix.
But it would be like, you know, the old guy from the neighborhood saying rap is music. Look, I could do it, and then he makes some nonsensical rap that just doesn't. That's what this movie is.
Yeah,
that's what this movie is in a nutshell. It's somebody going, I could do that, and I will, and falling on his face. I could do Mad Max. Watch me do Mad Max.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Ian, anything to add?
Well, I mean, but at least he did it. I mean, that's the thing, and that's what I was kind of getting at beforehand. It's like if you're the guy who says that's not rap, I can do rap, you better go out and do something with it. If Donald G. Jackson watched Mad Max as I could do that, he could have just been the guy who said, yeah, I could do that. I'm not going to, but I could if I wanted to. He wanted to, and he did. And it sucks, but he can at least say, I gave it a shot. So I think
make your own damn movie, basically.
Yes, very relevant to this week.
Yes.
I think, this is a terrible movie, and I'm glad to be moving away from this. And it just tries my patience and my oath as a film critic to, you know, take movies seriously. I don't like it when they don't take me seriously. And that's the frustrating part. I wasn't kidding about film fascism last week. It's still in the back of my head, but not good at all.
And there you have it, folks. Rollerblade 1986. No, we are putting a bookend on the Skate or Die month. One of the reasons they can't all be winners. And while I know this month was rough, it does show you there are still other roller skating post-apocalyptic films we did not cover. It was actually an more extensive subgenre than you might think.
Mark, just real quick, these last 3 weeks, because we talked about this film, we talked about Rollerblade 7, we talked about the Rollerball remake.
Yeah.
Before that, we talked about Rollerball, which is a great movie. These movies, right? But these last 3 movies, like, did the crime of making me forget that we talked about a legitimately great movie and a gold standard. I'm always of the opinion, like, think of the best version of the movie that you want to make, and then if you're not even going to try and swing for those fences, then don't bother. I know that kind of contradicts what I was saying about you should get out there and make the movie, but I think you should at least aspire to do something that can stand in that pantheon. You'll probably never get there because of, like, limited resources or what have you, but, like, Donald G. Jackson, Rollerball existed 20 years before he made this movie and the other film. Did he watch it? What did he think about it? Did he think while he was putting everybody through the hell of making these films, I'm going to do something that could stand up next to that or next to Mad Max? And the answer is no. So, like, well, why did he keep going? Like, what was it in him that he thought he needed to inflict this quote unquote vision on the world? I don't know.
Money out of distribution. That's what.
I mean, just that, because it's not. This movie was not going to be was not destined to be like a great box office movie.
No, but
it'll be a direct to video.
But a lot of people liked putting these corny ideas, and and there was a real renaissance at the time of people who put these cheesy movies, and they all found a home on video. And I think that was it. It was just to have a home along with the other films along on those video shelves,
because video stores at the time had to fill shelves. They needed content, unlike today where streaming is overflowing with content. Back in the 80s when the VHS boom and the video boom came big for rental, until the blockbusters came in and just bought shit in bulk, people needed shelves. And even in your Blockbuster, you needed to fill shelves at least partially, because people would blow through your 7 or 8 new releases in a weekend and then be like, but you got to have them come back and rent other shit from you. So you need stuff on your shelves. So you had filmmakers who knew that if they made something, they could probably get at least some money back for it, maybe even make their own money back from it, depending on how low of a budget you made it in. And so they'd make this stuff enough and get it to a distributor who's like, shit, I got to get stuff on the shelves. Okay, I'll pay you this much. They'll be like, sold. And it gets out there. Whether or not it was actually worthy of putting out there didn't quite matter. It was the fact there was something out there on the shelf. And let me tell you, you want to talk about box art? It's got some cool fucking box art. It's got box art that if you walked past Rollerblade, you're like, holy shit, it's got the big mean bad guy there. You've got the girl in the aerobics outfit, on her knee, like fighting.
They were trying to market to 15-year-old boys, and they scored a direct hit with me.
At
least enough to get me to buy it.
and I think that's what some people might take. And I don't want to make judgments on everyone, but just the impression I get from some of the conversations I've seen online and like Letterboxd and that, it's like people who are into films of these, like Scotty D or myself, or even to some extent, Ian and Joe, you watch some B films and that. The reason we enjoy them is because, yes, there are a lot of rough ones out here, but then occasionally you run across that gem to where you're just like Ian said it with this one. You've got Rollerblade, you've got Rollerblade 7, which are 2 rough ones. And in the middle of that, you got Hell Comes to Frogtown, which you look at Hell Comes to Frogtown and you go, wait, this guy made this. It's like you run across those gems that make you realize, they're out there. And that's why you've got to sometimes crawl over the gravel to get to the smooth pavement, and that's why I still enjoy these films and enjoy talking them about to you. And I hope you've enjoyed this conversation this evening. We are putting this to bed. Skate or Die is rolling off into the sunset, and coming out next month, we've got Carradine Carnage. Yes, we are looking at 4 films from Mr. David Carradine, and starting off with one that has a number of familiar names, including Academy Award winning Martin Scorsese's Boxcar Bertha. I didn't say he won it for this film. Okay. I said it's an Academy Award-winning director who did a Boxcar Bertha, starring with Barbara Hershey in it, no less. So, there's some talent in here, and that's how we're kicking off Carradine Carnage next week for David Carradine films that we'll be watching. It'll be this, Death Race 2000, Cue the Flying Serpent, because I want to do a creature feature, and ending it with a very bizarre post-apocalyptic film called Warlord. So that's what's coming up, folks.
Oh, wow. I just thought of something about Warlords. Okay, yeah.
I've seen it once. I thought it was okay. That's... we're going from a month where I've seen none of the 5 movies to a month where I've seen all 4, so...
Oh, well, there you go. Well, sorry to disappoint you, Joe. I apologize. I fail as a programmer. I don't think I
disliked any of the 4 we're doing next month.
Well, so that's something. That. So there's that. So, and now here's this, the license to shill for my crew members, where they get to tell you whatever they want to shill. The floor is theirs. So, Joe, start with you, sir. What you got, if anything, to shill, sir?
Well, I'm gonna kick to Ian on this because what I'm gonna be shilling actually involves him. I'll be on a podcast with him this week.
Oh, that's
Is
true.
that my lead-in, Joe?
I guess so. Yeah,
That could be your lead in.
you do it so much better than I do.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm Ian Simmons. I run Kicking the Seat, which you can find at kickseat.com and also right here on YouTube. We do podcasts and live streams and interviews, and we're going to be kind of doing a bit of a bridge of those worlds. You're going to be doing an episode of Here We Go Again, featuring The Toxic Avenger. That's where we talk about a remake and then the film that inspired it. And this week, I'm knocking on this fake panel wood of my desk right now, because I'm hoping that everything comes together. But we will be talking with Mr. Lloyd Kaufman, the creator of Toxic Avenger 1984, about that film and also the new Macon Blair remake, which opened this week. So that's not going to be a live episode for the legal protections, I think, of everybody involved. But that'll be coming out later this week. So I'm excited to welcome some very familiar faces to that discussion. So yeah.
Awesome. Scotty D, what do you got?
Yeah, just a lot of the stuff. If you want to see me, just kind of hang around here. I'm usually like hanging around the back, begging for food. But no, you can catch me on. I've started to show up on some episodes of Spoiler Room after being absent for a couple years.
Hooray!
Also, recently been featured on a couple episodes of At the Devil's Ball podcast with my friends Nathaniel and Samuel. And also a couple episodes of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast, Insane Troll Logic. I've been on a couple of those recently, and they do good work there. So if y'all want to catch that, you can check it out. And if you really want to blast from Bass, go to movieocrity.com and maybe my old Vimeo or YouTube channel at Movieocrity to check out old writings and videos and such.
Yes, especially if you enjoy things like rollerblade. You're going to
this is in my this stuff like this is in my blood for better or worse. Yeah,
it is. And I've got a couple of things. I know we've gone along with these episodes, but I hope you've enjoyed these, folks. I've enjoyed seeing more and more listeners slowly come to our little sliver of the internet. I know there's a clout of movie podcasts out there, so the fact that you even consider us, I appreciate. I appreciate all of our live viewers as well. And this wonderful panel who put up with my movie picks every week. If you are into indie cinema and you're in the Oshkosh, Wisconsin area, October 10th and 11th, we have the Sawdust City Fright Fest in effect. And Friday night, we are doing a special showing of The Giant Spider Invasion. And Bill Rebane is scheduled to be there for a Q&A. Yes, the director himself, as well as possibly give a little tidbits. Maybe we might be able to get some information about his reimagining that he's currently working on of The Giant Spider Invasion. And we've got other indie and all horror of various types of horror, from the casual to a little more extreme. Over 50% of the submissions are Wisconsin made. Woohoo! So Sawdust City Fright Fest, go to sawdustcityfrightfest.com for that information. And yeah, specialmarkproductions.com for all your Movie Man needs, all the stuff for archive of the Spoiler Room. And I have a special interview, knock on wood, salt over the shoulder that it will happen. And I don't want to say it because I don't want to bad luck it, but let's just say that the hint is, oh, Brad. And we'll leave it at that, folks. So we will talk to you later. And thank you so much. And now, as always, we'll just say good night, everyone.
Good night.